Metaverse is a hot topic for 2022. So many major players are flocking to this space to build out the next frontier of the internet. We're talking about major players like Nike, Facebook, and if rumors are true, Apple. There's going to be huge opportunities for normal people to make millions of dollars off this trend. And in this video, I want to talk about what's in store for the metaverse in 2022, what the opportunity looks like, and address some of the rampant skepticism about the metaverse that even I hold to some degree. So I'm going to talk about all these things as a blockchain developer who works this technology on a daily basis. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. So 2021 was already a huge year for the metaverse. We saw Facebook rebrand to Meta, the parent company that owns Facebook, Oculus, Instagram, and WhatsApp. We saw the metaverse keyword bubble up to mainstream awareness. And I just released a video about the top blockchain predictions for 2022. And into that video, I predicted that the metaverse would go mainstream in 2022. And so continuing on that video, I want to flesh out what that looks like to talk about the opportunity and what you need to know. So let's start with some basics in case you're still scratching your head and wondering, hey, what even is the metaverse in the first place? Well, basically it's an embodied internet that's powered by augmented reality and virtual reality, but is ultimately made possible by blockchain technology. Because the whole idea is it's an open world that nobody centrally owns, and the only way you can do this is to use blockchains. So what can you do with it? Why does it even matter? Well, I truly believe that we're just scratching the surface on what's possible with the metaverse. I'll elaborate more on that here in a minute. But basically right now, a lot of what's happening are immersive experiences, like I was talking about with AR and VR, but virtual worlds, right? Being able to play games, have social experiences, go to concerts or events inside the metaverse. And a lot of where the opportunity lies is to essentially own land or items that will be valuable inside the metaverse. And so that's a lot of what's happening. So, what is the metaverse? What's happening now? What's this big push into expansion? Well, essentially, the metaverse is being colonized. We're seeing lots of major players enter into this space, try to create this new world. All right. Some people are going in to actually, like I was saying before, own items in metaverse and build on top of them that will be valuable down the road. And then we're seeing lots of other major players sort of on the sidelines doing more of a pick and shovels play to sell items to people who need to, do this colonization. So here's a quick example of what I'm talking about. So Snoop Dogg is developing a Snoopverse, and someone just bought a property with his virtual world for almost $500,000. Now, it's a pretty crazy headline. And like I was saying before, some of these things are met with initial skepticism. Some of these should be. I'll address the skepticism here in a minute. But basically, an NFT collector spent a little under $500,000 for the privilege of becoming Snoop Dogg's next door neighbor, in the metaverse, of course. So this is inside Snoop's, metaverse land that he has created. And what can you do inside of here? So he's saying, I'm always on the lookout for new ways of connecting with fans. And what we've created in the sandbox is the future of virtual hangouts, NFT drops, and exclusive concerts. So this is a perfect example of what I was talking about a minute ago. Basically a virtual world that lives on a blockchain where people can experience it with augmented reality or virtual reality. And you can do things inside of it like, have social experiences, go to concerts, own land inside of here. And so let's talk more about the big opportunity and how to capture it inside the metaverse. So, like I was saying before, major players are jumping in this space because they see this massive opportunity. I mean, that should be validation, for you. We'll talk about, normal people's involvement here in a minute. But a couple stats that I want to pull up here is basically what Facebook is doing. So now Facebook is rebranded their parent company as Meta, which owns Facebook, the social networking app, Instagram, the social networking app, Oculus, the VR headset, all right, and a few other companies as well. So Oculus is the VR wearable that Meta owns, and 2021 Oculus sales sold more than Xboxes from Microsoft. So he's saying in 2021 was the year of VR, and this marks the beginning of AR/VR's predominance. Okay, so VR and AR technology really has an inflection point, and that's what's really important, is a big part of why the metaverse is taking off in the first place. Now, there are other use cases for AR, VR. I'm not saying metaverse is the sole reason that this is taking off, but this definitely is a major factor. And now another company that I personally have my eye on is Apple, okay? Because they are rumored to release a virtual reality or augmented reality wearable in 2022. Now, again, this is not confirmed. I'm not saying share this video and tell everybody I said that Apple's, getting in the metaverse. That's not what I'm saying here, but it is a distinct possibility, and they hold the power to onboard lots of other people into this space. So that's what major players are doing, and that's what their big opportunity is, among other things. But let's talk about, everyday normal people and the opportunity that's on the table, to really prosper in this world and potentially even make millions. All right. So that's of course not a guarantee, but let's talk about it because it is a realistic opportunity. So one reason that this is so crazy is because of the decentralized nature of blockchain technology, where essentially it's an open playing field where lots of different people can participate. We have major players getting the space, and we also have individuals, okay? Now, of course, some will have advantages one over the other, but the whole idea is, if we are really colonizing a new world with the metaverse, and there's opportunities to, front run this opportunity, then you have a level open playing field that didn't necessarily exist with all the major opportunities in the past. You don't have to be an accredited investor. There's not all this red tape, keeping you out. Like, you're allowed to go in here and actually participate in this. Now, like I said before, I'm stressing this is not easy. You'll be competing with other people who have lots of money. But for those of you out there that want to hustle, grind, use your wits, take on risk, all this type of stuff, there's a legitimate opportunity. There, of course, is no guarantee of success. You could fail, but there's a wide open gate on a big trend that is taking off. So let's talk about the future of the metaverse and where I think it's likely to head, because that's ultimately what you need to understand if you want to position yourself at the forefront of this opportunity. So we talked about some examples of what people are doing in the metaverse right now, but I truly believe that we're just scratching the surface on what's possible with this new trend, this new technology. Okay, and we don't exactly know what it's going to look like in its final form. There's some stuff here now that's just not going to work. Some stuff is all marketing hype. There's some stuff that's just scams. There's some stuff that is a good, honest try, but it's just not really going to work. We'll talk about some of those things more here in a minute when we talk about, address some of the rampant skepticism around the metaverse, some of it which is warranted. But let's break down the fundamental characteristics of this space so we can try to envision what the future use cases might be like for the metaverse to try to stay 2 steps ahead of this. So you have to break it down to its essential components, like augmented reality or virtual reality. So if you know the difference, virtual reality is the fully immersive experience where you can't see anything else and you're just totally inside this world, okay? And then augmented reality is essentially where you blend the physical world around you that you can see, like wherever you're watching this video, with some sort of, digital illusion, basically. All right, so that's primarily how you experience this, because it's an embodied internet. You're experiencing the internet, in 3 dimensions. It's made possible by blockchains, okay, because you don't want some central company to just own the metaverse. It's supposed to be this big open space, and you need a blockchain in order to make that happen. So we are at this critical point of AR, VR technology being where it's at right now, and blockchain technology being where it's at right now, to where these 2 things can actually come together and make something viable. And so these are the characteristics, both these things coming together to make an embodied internet that can give birth to, a ton of new use cases that we don't even know about yet. And so if you understand those characteristics and can identify them, then there's 1 of 2 options. You can see these things as they come out and, test the viability of whether you think this is something that could actually take off. And if you've been watching this channel, then you might even be in a position to create something like this and get 2 steps ahead of this trend and create something, valuable in the metaverse. And the last major characteristic of the metaverse that I want to talk about is NFTs. Now, this is a subset of blockchain technology, its use cases, but non-fungible tokens are going to be a major part of the metaverse, because that's ultimately what allows you to own land, to own items in the metaverse. And we're seeing lots of other major players flock into this space. We've seen OpenSea and all the crazy activity that they've had on their platform over the past few years. We've seen Coinbase, launch its NFT platform, or is planning to do so. And we also see the same thing for Shopify, one of the major e-commerce retailer platforms that's allowed lots of everyday people to set up shops on the internet. They're creating the functionality to let Shopify merchants do NFT drops on top of their platform. Now, let's address some of the rampant skepticism around the metaverse, some of which I think is warranted, some of it even I hold, okay? So first, let's just start off by saying this, all right? A lot of what's out there right now, being tried with the metaverse is not going to work, okay? So some stuff is just being, are legitimate ideas that are just being tried out and are going to fail, okay? There's some things that are absolute scams, okay? Some things that are just, capitalizing off marketing hype that don't really have any long-lasting value. But there will be I believe, a small set of legitimate use cases where we create something that has lasting value. And that there's so many major players getting into this space that as we create these things that have this lasting value and that major players can continue to help propel this space forward, there's so much momentum that we can actually see meaningful adoption of Metaverse, potentially in 2022 and beyond. So that's my initial premise. So a lot of the skepticism should be just around a lot of the stuff that's not going to work with the Metaverse in this space. So I'll pull up an article here that echoes some of this. So Wired's top editor, Metaverse feels like a terminological land grab. So the word Metaverse is popping up everywhere. Facebook recently changed its name to Meta. Nike bought a virtual shoe company to help expand the Metaverse. Other brands like Gucci and Ralph Lauren have been considering the future of fashion with digital personas. So it's all this attention that can be difficult for general news consumers to parse through what is a marketing gimmick versus what really matters. So every time the industry goes after a new name for something or tries to pivot, something new inevitably comes out of it. It's not clear yet what that will be, says Gideon Litchfield, global editorial director of Wired. I think one has to be really critical of this tendency and call out what is just marketing hype, which is a large part of it, while remaining open-minded to the fact that something new does emerge. So this is exactly what I've been saying, where, some stuff's not going to work. Some stuff really is just hype. Some stuff might even be an outright scam, but there will likely be a core set of use cases that produce lasting value, or at least a high likelihood that that's the case. And there's also a lot of skepticism about people, and their behavior at the Metaverse. Are they actually going to do this? Are normal people going to put on VR headsets? Are they going to buy land or participate in the Metaverse? Well, to that, I'll say this. Well, basically, we're still trying to figure out how much of people's time they actually want to spend in augmented reality or virtual reality. Like I said, some stuff's not going to work. I don't know that everybody wants to sit around with a VR headset on all day. There's even potential down the road where you could create immersive experiences without people having to actually wear a wearable device, but I think we're still quite a ways off from that. But I will say this, most people's behavior is going to change slowly, but some people's behavior will change quite fast, okay? But for the vast majority of people, they need multiple touch points in order to convert on this, journey towards this direction. Okay, not everybody will either, right? I'm thinking about how many people have even resisted adoption of Web 2.0 technology even into their old age. And I'm not necessarily saying that Metaverse is going to reach that scale of adoption either. But for the vast majority of people who do actually enter into this space, it will likely require multiple touch points before they ultimately, get into that. They need to see it everywhere. They need to see it advertised. They need to know other people that have participated in this or maybe made some money off of it before they decide to ultimately, dip their toes in and, do it as well. All right, so that's an overview of where I think the Metaverse is headed in 2022 and beyond. Again, I think this is a big opportunity for lots of people. I think we're just scratching the surface on what's possible. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like in its final form, but I do expect to get a lot of clarity on that this year. So I hope you like this video. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so that more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you how to become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.